lunch break. The players have had some chicken biryani. Ukraine has had some chicken dinners for the mobile. We've got one more Erangel.
Ladies and gentlemen, the players are ready. We have no more delays. Once again, huge shout out to productions. We've cut the breaks immensely.
Yeah.
And that's why you guys out there are getting just action on action on action on action. Ladies and gentlemen, match 4 of day 2 here at the ISF Esports, World Esports Championship to be exact. Live from Riyadh. Live from Riyadh. It's an absolutely incredible venue, to be honest.
Yeah,
the players are very happy about everything. The phones, the organization, so on and so forth. So you can tell by the performance they've had as well that's the case.
It's an absolutely incredible playing path as well. If we're looking at where this takes us, there's no Yasnaya, there is no George Paul, there's no Severny hot drop. This is a brutal one to start off the second half of the day. Brazil's going to be very happy about their military base loot spots. Everybody else is in dire straits. You can see that Milta power area already getting a little bit awkward, but Romania most likely falling away from it. 2 teams only on the southern island means a ton of congestion around everything further north. We're going to see some action here early on. At least a few shots being taken at cars, some vehicle struggles. This is not going to be easy for some of our teams to get out of.
No, it's really not. Definitely a dangerous playing path for a lot of these teams, as you said. And the next circle we see here in match number 4 doesn't really make it all that easier. But then again, it's open for grabs for absolutely everyone. Doesn't really give you much phase 1. I don't think we're going to see too many teams centering up. Just too open on where it's going to end.
Yeah.
Egypt there around Puchinki. Ukraine is interesting to me because they have a Saudi player somewhere close. But instead of Ukraine, it's going to be Bulgaria opening things up. First frag of the round. It's going to be Sicario who gets that. His teammate with a flush. First point on the board for them.
Good and nice start to the last Erangel of the day. And like you said, a very central circle, but a circle that's still quite far away from so many of our teams because of how south that plane path was. I wouldn't be all too surprised to see some teams go for the northern parts of this circle. You don't have to center up entirely. If you're centering up a little bit further north, you'll get yourself some incredibly free space, considering how congested the southern entries should be. All the avenues of approach stacked with multiple teams. So I wouldn't be all too surprised to see teams opting for a far northern approach. Ukraine, they're already quite far north here, very early on in the game, now making their way in on that ruins, double whites area. They will find a ton of free real estate. Just add their hands, yeah.
Absolutely. It's still a long way to get anywhere though. Ukraine hasn't really thought of looting here, I'm pretty sure. It's just what they've been given up here. Car spawns have been relatively rare, you can tell. Just now is really when they're making their way towards that desired loot spot. It's definitely going to cost them in rotation timing. Then again, north side should be relatively clear. I haven't really seen too many teams go that far up north. Which is part of the reason why Ukraine wants to make that happen. Even more so, knowing that that is going to be the most clear entry into that phase 2. And I'd be surprised if we don't see them taking a deep north entry in this game because of that. They have been playing smart like this. They have been making a very proactive approach on really thinking about what kind of edge they want to entry on. And it's been working out perfectly for them. The current 1 spot is theirs with quite a bit of distance.
Yeah, that last game helping them out, widening the gap towards some of the teams on the chase. Miramar being one of them. Lewis James, the top fragger off that squad. We've seen him pop off time and time again. Not able to clutch out that last game though. That 3v2 was hard, but it was winnable. But just perfect crossfire setup from Ukraine, and Myanmar walks straight into it. And you can't overstate how much that costs you. That costs you 4 placement points and 3 elims or 2 elims, depending on which side you're looking at. That's a whole lot of points when you're looking at that leaderboard in just a matter of seconds of that fight going one way or the other.
Talking about fights going one way or the other, this one is going towards Indonesia. Randy with the first knockdown against Myanmar, who've been performing, I don't want to say miraculously, but they've been definitely even overperforming isn't necessarily the best word, right? Because we've been expecting them to perform better today. They just haven't gotten into late game. But there is one trade now that I'm pretty sure they're going to flash on 2. I think he's open enough to get that. But the crossfire is there. But yeah, as I say that, Rennie indeed is going to get finished off as well. It's a 1-1 trade. It's a bridge camp from Indonesia that unfortunately doesn't really work out too heavily in their favor. That was definitely something that could have been avoided, I feel like. I mean, if you're the one bridge camp and you get the first frag,
yeah.
In almost no scenario you lose another player.
Yeah, I think that's almost an understatement to a certain point. You're bridge camping, you lose a member, it's an absolute disaster. You have put yourself in this position, you had control over the situation, and it hasn't worked out for you at all. Now, they've got to try and cut their losses, reposition, find a way into this phase 1, which they have plenty of time to do, but they've given up so much time here. They've given up so much priority to get these kills on the bridge, and it really hasn't paid off at all. It's completely backfired.
It really has. Asriel is going to be driving on through without his teammate now, Rendy. As we've said, unfortunately has fallen short of getting any more eliminations past that one that he's gathered up until that point that he got knocked down. But I appreciate and I respect the commitment to that bridge camp, and I think it's been that correct decision. Unfortunately, just the execution hasn't been flawless. I like that some of these teams are now waking up, realizing that if we want to catch up, we have to do stuff like this, right? And we don't only have to do stuff like this, we have to do stuff like this on top of having great rounds as well. So that's just the start of it. You have to kind of do the same thing that Egypt has done, right? Realize soon enough that if you can't finish the rounds that you're supposed to win, then you need to get creative. And that's what they're doing. I'm talking about Egypt. This time around doesn't look quite as flawless, though, as the first couple of rounds that we've seen them shine in. But it's a quick trade, and no one's been flashed so far. Chile is still in quite a bit of trouble.
Nice little transition from Krona there as well. Keeps himself alive, but the need to follow up is so good. Catches him in his tracks. Just one up standing for the Egyptian squad. I think it's one for Chile as well, if I'm not mistaken. Might have been a bit of an observer bug there. Yeah, it's a 2v1 at the moment, but there will be no reses coming through. As I say that, there will be one res coming through for Egypt as well. So they are trading one right now, but not a great position for Egypt to be in. They've now given up all their space, and Krona is the only one who can do it. Does he find the first? Not even. Elite says no. Puts him in his place, and together with his teammate, he will stay alive in this one, but it is a fight that bleeds both of these teams dry. Now look as well on the minimap, there's already more teams getting interested in the third parties, and they will find a very weakened Chile that they can try and play with and abuse in this position.
They had their party earlier. They surely want to do so again. And Chile, as you said, they are weakened, down to just 2 players, one of which is definitely spotted. The audio cues have been given away, but they are yet to find the second player, which is Elite. He's made he's had a big impact, but yeah, that impact has just now finished. Notorious is easily going to find him. He had no chance to get out of this one. His looting was just a little bit too long, and simply really couldn't wait for him. I can understand why he had to dodge that. It was a little bit too much of a loot goblin, to be honest. Maybe you should have just skipped that body. They would have made it out alive. If that position. Yeah, if that would have changed anything in this round, I'm not so sure. You can tell by the rotations with the circle shifting up north. It's going to be tough either way. I think he tried to look for that, for that single building compound now out in the open, but that's been taken as well. So we'll see where he ends up.
We'll see where he ends up. The timing isn't amazing. He's a little too late for the phase shift to really get anything early. That being said, hold that thought. France getting cleared right now by Saudi Arabia, a team that sort of dropped the ball a little bit today. They haven't really showed us the consistency we've seen from them yesterday, but they are trying to pick things up here, and they have picked a fight. They have found themselves an opponent, and they're trying to do their very best at closing this out fast, because the zone's not here anymore, but they should have just enough time with a bit of util as well. The nades are coming on in. It is Nade himself as well that is getting naded here. Dodo nade. His days are numbered, surely. And there is the last frag that comes on in. 4 frags, 4 elims for the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, excuse me. But they have lost a player in the process here, Felix.
Yeah, they have. 4 eliminations, still a good start, but it's that old thing of, is it really worth it for, especially for some of these top contenders where you know that 4 frags is nice, but it's not the point average, right? That point average is higher than this. And yes, sure, they're not out of this one, but your winning chances always significantly decrease when you lose a player too early. So yeah, it's going to be down to how these next circle shifts and what kind of position they play. Ukraine, on the other hand, they surely don't have to worry much about that anymore. It's a pretty good spot that they found themselves in. The garage building might not be the perfect place in the circle, but at least they found themselves an entry where all 4 players are surely never ever going to get breached or flushed. And if it does shift up north, you find yourself a power position as well.
Always a chance, 30 seconds for the face pop. 30 seconds to tell us where this game is going to go. And another chance for some of these teams that have been bleeding players to try and prepare themselves for Ascend here. I would love to see a team that's lost a member, a team that's not in a good spot, just get in your car, start driving towards the center, see where the zone takes you, and be the first one to react here, because you're already weakened, you're already on the edge. Chances are you do need to find the right timing, and you could be one of the teams that claims something on the southern edge. Maybe you just find Jordan grouping here. Crazy split from them right now. I would be very surprised if Ragnaros stays in that position so isolated. But the first team to see him leaving is going to get themselves a very good compound to be playing out the rest of this game from. So reacting fast and reacting quick to some of these teams that do it is a good way to get yourself into position. Knock comes in towards Ukraine, but that should be a very safe and easy res for them at this point.
Well, yeah, as we said, like, getting knocks there is not avoidable, but you'll get them up 100%. That's the beauty of this position. And again, it's not really a position you can really play yourself out of all that much, which is why I said that the circle's definitely going to play a huge role in this. But they still seem to be fine inside here in phase 3, and there's always the opportunity to just push outwards as soon as it does shift south and push that volcano hill that we see Romania in right now. And I mean, realistically, if there's a team that you should be scared of in this lobby who's just been playing these isolated 4-on-4 fights to absolute perfection, it is Ukraine as well, right? Turkey, there's an argument to be made that Turkey is almost on the same level to some degree, but they seem to pick fights. And let's be honest, this has always been the case. We've been talking about this during the last game as well. They seem to pick fights that are really easily third-party, so they just tend to lose players. It doesn't really negate their point average because they just still seem to win so many of these individual duels, but I feel like they could still be so much higher if they would focus on placement points just a tiny bit more. Sometimes I feel like they lose focus just a tiny bit, and that's like the biggest differentiator between Ukraine and Turkey on the overall leaderboard, in my opinion.
Ukraine seems a lot more calm and collected. Turkey gets a little overzealous at times. Yeah, they aren't as clean as well. They aren't as clinical in their fights, right? That's something we've been praising Ukraine for, the way they set up these early game fights, or something we've also praised Brazil for when it comes to team play. Finding ways to get out of these fights cleanly isn't something that Turkey has been super good at. And a lot of the times we do find them taking massive amounts of points as a duo or as a 3-man because they have lost members early. Now, Ukraine wants this. They found the opening knock, and they're not willing to just wait around and sit pretty in their compounds. They want this fight, and they want to close it out. But once again, they're being very careful about this, not taking too many aggressive risks. And even if they can, any of their players are in good positions to get rezzed if they do get knocked.
This is interesting. I wouldn't have expected that push to come out that early, but Havlik has now opened things up. Ukraine is in all sorts of action. And with all ball back in the distance, no one can even really peek that aggressive stance that Ukraine has put up right in front of Romania. That entire ridgeline is now under their control, and they want to make it work. You see, the circle is a big part of why, because unless it shifts really far up north, And that's really unlikely. We've seen these only typically go towards the southern side, which it does right now. Then they need to. They need to take down this team. And now Romania is driving away. They're fleeing this. But are they really fleeing into anything safer than what they had just moments ago? I'm not so sure. So far, no one's really been shot out. That's surprising to me. Indonesia should have perfect sightlines on this. Next team comes in. It's Jordan that picks apart the players from Romania driving on through to that northern side. And just like that, one player's been taken out. Second player is sure to fall any second now. There it goes. And that's Ukraine that has bullied them out of position into a very dangerous rotation. And as a result of that, yeah, Romania unfortunately really had to live with that.
I'm loving it. I'm loving it from Ukraine, the aggression to push the team away. I'm loving the reaction from Romania as well, but they just weren't sure where to go. They didn't figure it out in time. They actually take a bunch of damage from the Alamo to their left, then they're too close to the compound on the right. They don't have a free pathing here, but they weren't sure where to go. They didn't make the decision in time, and it cost them dearly. Now, what can Ukraine do with this? They've heard all these shots in front of them. They should know that there's a Chilean member in the dip. That could be something that they clear out first. That could be a kill point that they get themselves before they play the rest of this game from here. Because they're in a rush to get somewhere maybe, but they have enough time to at least clear what's in front of them and get those points in the bag before they go into uncharted waters.
Absolutely. Mongolia are now the next team that is trying to find any kind of safe haven, but so many teams still have to do the exact same. You can see in the distance more players rotating in. That's Morocco. We've been missing Morocco immensely as well. African Esports Championship, these guys have performed in some of these rounds. More than just performed, they've been destroying lobbies. In this one, they really haven't, unfortunately. That's Hope going really aggressive. Chapo gets taken down, but not by who you thought that might be. Not by Chapo, but by Senka instead, who pulled up right behind him. That might just be a little bit too aggressive on Hope's side, and he's going to have to pay for that.
He will pay. Mongolia have to reconsider their options now. They've not had the lower ground. It is Morocco who controls that. They're not in the circle, but giving up a member here and potentially giving up a knock here. This is enough.
Wow.
Myanmar from the distance pressures him off the rock. That's the second knock. Morocco knows this as well. Morocco knows there is an opening here. The numbers weren't in their favor to start with, but they've equalized this nicely, and they should be able to do something with this. The pull-up for Ukraine is in full effect, but it's two knocks. It's costly. Do the Saudi players react in time? It's looking like it. Maybe time for a first aid for Old Boy, but he's got to do so much here. The flush comes on through. The shotgun on the other side. Surely not. Surely, Old Boy, where are you going? He almost makes the connect, but it's Ukraine going out. It's Turkey from the other side that's just benefiting massively here, Felix.
Yeah, the thing is, Ukraine didn't get these two flushes, if I saw that correctly. I think they only got the 2 elimination points that they've had up until this point, so nothing else is being gained. Turkey now chimes in. They breach the ridgeline. They take down Hidden, and just like that, another top contender is out of the running in match number 4, ladies and gentlemen. We have Kingdom Saudi Arabia eliminated with 5 points. That is 3 more than Ukraine, though, but is it going to be enough to catch up? Not just yet. That's the answer. And the same exact thing is happening on the northeastern side. A relatively tough circle for plenty of these teams, but it's fair in terms of fighting positions, right? Everyone's kind of got an equal chance. Everyone's also has some kind of ridgeline to play off of. And now the individual duels have to be won, though. That's the big part about this. Yes, you may have a position, but with so many players around you, it doesn't really get any easier. Because the opposing team on either side might just have the exact same. Brazil, he tries to reposition, but it's just not meant to be. Flyby takes him down through the blue zone, and that's another point being picked up by Kyrgyzstan. Another team that's right on the heels of Ukraine. They have some amount of distance, let's be honest, but with this game, they have all the opportunity with only 2 points being scored by Ukraine to close that. Same goes for Turkey.
Big fight ahead of them. Big fight for both these teams. Solkai on the roof. Massive angle for his squad, but it will be the first angle that gets eliminated by the blue zone. And they will have to make the approach. Kyrgyzstan a lot more aggressive right now in the land grab. But remember, Turkey, they came from the north. They still have some space there. They can dodge this if they have to. The question is, does Kyrgyzstan do the same thing? They also have effect on the southeastern side, scouting a massive amount of area for them. So they're not forced to take this fight just yet, but neither of the teams wants to give up the top. Neither of them wants to give up this amount of ground. There's a knock coming in from Solis. That's big, and that's something that Kyrgyzstan will hear as well. That's something they will notice as well. And that could be the signal to go. Mongolia with the pull-up. Shotgun comes out. Second elimination. Suki in this round is a bit of a band-aid on the rough game they've had. But this is the fight to watch. It might never happen. It might not explode. But one opening knock could go a long way.
Yeah, he's trying to hit that nade. That'd be disastrous if he hits that. That would be absolutely absurd. It is about as far as the nade can be thrown. But it's not too unlikely, actually, with the nade. If it rolls down the other side of the hill, just like that, maybe, something is able to get done with these. But I think that's the third nade that unfortunately isn't going to hit anything in Turkey. They're just plowing right through. I think they're driving through these players. Somehow they still get the opening. Scarface takes one. Effect is there with a trade, but not even on Scarface. Instead, it's on someone completely else. And in fact, he has to defend himself suddenly with lots of Turkish players all around him. I'm not even sure what happened in the end there, but somehow they cleaned this up, and Turkey finds the 10th point, the 10th elimination in match number 4. This is an immense start to this round. The team that was the runner-up to Ukraine coming into this game day, and now they found themselves high ground as well. What a pull-up. This is exactly the way that we expect the Turkish players to come into this tournament. If you have an isolated 4-on-4 fight, doesn't matter if you can get a couple of more placement points, take it as early as you can, because you're bound to win these. Let's be honest, if you're on top of your game and you're a player like Sulke, you're gonna win these as well.
Massive amount of points already garnered, massive position in the circle to continue doing what they're doing as well. Getting themselves the frags, getting themselves now a massive loot infusion there. Kyrgyzstan still had utility, still had meds, still had armor. A lot to be picked up in a fight that shouldn't have been that easy, shouldn't have been that clean for the Turkish squad. The rest of the map been scrapping it out as Myanmar tries to make their way on in. Jordan as well, 6 elims already, Felix. They're holding strong, but the stars of this one, they're shining on the southwest of the circle, and look how much terrain they have for themselves. Look at the zone they're getting.
Wow.
This might be the game to close the gap.
When we're talking about Egypt being rewarded, I think the same thing just happened to Turkey. If that zone isn't a reward of what they've achieved so far up until this point, then I don't know what is. They are bound to pick this round. No one has got a man advantage except Bulgaria on them. But Bulgaria on the other side, if you really take a closer look, they're definitely going to have to fight other players now before we even get into the scenario of Bulgaria against Turkey. I'm saying that, but interestingly enough, someone has found a sightline. I think that was Sulke actually taking down Bandita. He, good for any Bulgarian fan out there. He is supposed to get rest back up. I don't think anyone can really have a say in otherwise, but still, that's the first sign of life for Turkey.
Yeah, the Yellows will be a big point of conflict here, I believe. There should be teams pulling up below it on the ridge and trying to fight their way on through, but no matter, depending on how these fights go, Jordan might just try and sweep the west or sweep the east. You can already see Ragnarok. He's getting up to the lower ground. He hopes that the yellow houses can't push out. Supra takes a ton of damage from the top. Bulgaria has to be a little careful here, because overstepping just a tiny bit will get you punished, and that's a big nade from Ragnarok. The follow-ups there as well. Kobe. He realizes there's something to be done about this.
Wow.
And look at that, instantly punished, and just like that, Bulgaria, numbers advantage gone, positional advantage gone. That's the ridge I was talking about, and Jordan has now realized this is a way in for us.
What was that? That is nuts. He didn't have any sideline on that player in there. He doesn't only get the knock, but he gets the flush as well. That's going to hurt for Bulgaria. Unbelievable scenes here with the nades, just straight up anticipation of where these players are going to be inside that compound. And once again, he is being rewarded with that elimination point back into his pocket to Jordan. Still roaming around the ridgeline. Now they've slowed things down. They know that Myanmar is still in their back lines. They have to be careful of not over-committing too early on that compound. They have to wait for Myanmar to be pushed out of their position, which they are any moment now, in order to commence that attack that they've just started on Bulgaria. And I think that's, once again, going to happen any second now. Now they are driving in the vehicle. I think that might just give them time to get Clever back up as well.
This is where Myanmar might want to end up, though. This is where they got the knock, right? They would love to get into this fight. The question is, how much space is Turkey giving them on the southern side? Myanmar happy to survive for now, happy to not be making any moves. So is Jordan. They are mighty happy about that flush they got onto Bulgaria, because that means they can play this ridgeline so much more comfortably. They can realize that the compound might not be pushing out. There's a solo behind them, though. Mongolia, we've seen Suki get the shotgun flush earlier to stay alive in this. Now he's a problem. Now he gets another flush. He stays alive for another second. Can he hit the prone? No, not in time. Jordan deals with it. Clever deals with it. But they have just lost one of their 3 players, and Ragnarok is off on his own mission here. Their presence is severely drawn apart. Turkey closes out their edge. Turkey closes out Ragnarok. This is their game to lose, and they're not giving it up.
It really is. But be reminded, Bulgaria is still up with a 3-man. So it's, at least in terms of man advantage, this is not Turkey's game just yet. But by the way they're playing, by the way they have these positions and these angles locked down, it surely is. Now Ragnarok is slowly but surely crawling back. Turkey should know this though, which is I think why they're increasing the amount of peaks from the top of the hill, especially since they realize Bulgaria isn't really doing anything against them, and they are solely focusing on Jordan. But so far the flush hasn't come through.
Big push now from Bulgaria. They realize they want to clean this up. They realize if they want to play the game, they need more space. They need to get out of their compound, and they need to not have Jordan around. Clever is dancing. It's not meant to be. 1 point towards Turkey, 1 towards Bulgaria, and now it's almost time. The yellows are getting eliminated out of the zone. Look at the angle that Solus has gotten for himself. Where does Bulgaria even go? What could they even do at this point? The grip is getting tighter and tighter. Bulgaria is getting choked out of this round here, Felix.
Yeah, they have. Now it's all down to just 2 players. Turkey is looking to get one of the biggest rounds here in the ISF World Esports Championship Finals on match day number 2. What a disastrous push, unfortunately, right into the open from Solkai, and they just have absolutely no chance. One by one, they are being mowed down by Solkai on top of the hill, and no chance for anyone in this round but Turkey. From start to finish, they clean up every single player and do so almost entirely clean.
Clean stuff at the end, especially the hard fight. The game-winning fight was the one against Kyrgyzstan. That was the most tricky one. That gave them all the space they could have ever wanted. And you can say they're proud. They're proud of showing up on the big stage like we expected them to. We wanted them to. We've been waiting. And they've been keeping themselves in the conversation with insane amount of elims. But now they finally take control of the game. They take the win. And 16 elims as well. The desk was talking about 15 elims. Is that going to be passed? There you have it.
Yeah, this is for any Ukrainian fan watching right now, they must have watched this in desperation. Because that's the worst case scenario right now happening. Turkey not only getting a win, but a win this big. That's got to sting. You've just watched your team, your country play essentially almost perfect PUBG Mobile throughout the entirety of this tournament. Play extremely consistent PUBG Mobile as well, just to be caught up in essentially 1 round, right? By a team that hasn't really reached late game, at least not top 2 scenario, not top 3, that consistently. Actually, really, they haven't been consistently at all in the top 3.
Yeah.
And that's quite in contrast to what we see at the very top of the leaderboard with Ukraine.
That's the thing you always know, right? When a team is picking up so many frags, you know that at some point things can go right for them. It's just they don't show the consistency in the placements that we've seen, like you said. But when you get a win like this, it makes up for a whole lot of games where you get 5th, 6th, 7th, while Ukraine is sneaking their way into top 2. So big game for them. And one thing that really stood out to me here is we've been talking about how top heavy it is, how the favorites are always in the late games. Myanmar was the only one that made it into the top 4 here. So big game, only one that made it into the top 4 here, right? A lot of the teams we were expected to pop off, a lot of teams that have been so just stuck into the top 4. Brazil there, didn't talk about them. Kyrgyzstan, big fight, lost for them as well.
Now, because I want to see what they have to say. They're super aggressive, and we said that way before that fight even happened, we said the difference between Ukraine and Turkey is that Turkey takes fights way earlier, and fights that can sometimes be third party relatively easily. And they were fortunate enough to be on edge, but they were the aggressor the entirety of this game. Yeah. Ukraine put up on the ridgeline, Saudi Arabia put up on the ridgeline. They were the first ones to party that fight twice in a row. Yeah. And then afterwards, they realized we only have one team to beat to have not only the best spot in the game, but to also close out this game convincingly. And they did. And they took it so early where I'd say 90% of this lobby would not have gone there this early.
Yeah, a lot of teams would have realized, hey, this fight isn't easy. These guys aren't giving us an opening. They're nading us all over the place. They're still 4 up. This is not a fight that we can just roll over. And Turkey just says, well, we will roll over. We'll fly over there and close it out. Similar things, Bulgaria realizing at the end, we have to start pushing. We have to clear out Jordan. Gets them 2 more points that could have just been falling into the pockets of Jordan. So love to see that from them.
Exactly. Talking about Bulgaria, we have one of the players up on the stage. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take a look at that quick interview.
Thank you very much for that, guys. Ben Detta, thank you for joining me up here on the stage. I need to ask you, you went from having quit playing competitively, no longer competing in esports titles, but now you're back for the WEC. Why is that? Was it because you wanted to represent, have some national pride?
Yeah, because I love my country and I want to represent him this tournament, and we go to boring to the top one, and that's why I little stop, not more.
Well, you had a pretty convincing performance, finishing second in that matchup. Before you started off your match that you've just played now, you were in 15th place. How have you been able to keep up that momentum to make sure you're doing better than you have?
We have bad moments in spot, but for now we are working for this, and now we find another spot, and we go to play another games from another sports, because there where we looting, it's bad loot, and we don't have nothing. That's all.
Is there anything you want to say to anybody that is cheering you on, or anybody that's your competition?
I love all fans. Thank you for all.
Amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. I'm going to throw it back over to our analyst. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Veracity. And we're back. We have wrapped up game number 4, and things are heating up. It is getting spicy with the second day of WEC PUBG Mobile, because we came into this game with Ukraine having a 20-point lead, and Turkey just strikes right back, getting themselves their first chicken dinner and also setting another record in terms of eliminations for this tournament. And I'm pretty sure they stole first place away from Ukraine. So now the competition is getting spicier and spicier, DK.
I mean, earlier today I did say that we are going to be looking at a vastly different overall standings when we get to the end of the day, right? And the teams are keeping true to that, right? They continuously keep on changing where they go, who's the next one to step up. And we've seen some new rising stars in comparison to what we had happen in yesterday's matches. So already right out of the gates, the team's really getting right down to business. I mean, we didn't even have to wait long until we saw quite a bit of the heat really coming out on the battlefield.
Yeah, for a second I was looking at the health bars of what are the players there. I didn't see any, but this push here from the side of Ukraine on Saudi Arabia, that jump shot here was absolutely ridiculous, but Fahidan was able to kind of react to it in the best way possible, take out Ukraine, and then there was the push that we wanted to talk about. Neptura, I want to get your opinion. The push from Turkey onto Kyrgyzstan. I felt like Kyrgyzstan were in a position to take the win in that fight, but Turkey was just better in that moment.
Yeah, they were. They had complete control over what was going on there.
No bell, it's fine.
No bell? Okay, we're good. Oh, sorry, Solus. Thank you. I don't want to do the bell right now. I'm in the middle of analysis here. Yeah, they did a really good job there. Kyrgyzstan, the thing is in that area, there's so many teams around there that everybody was fighting for that position, right? So it is difficult to really keep track of what's going on, and so Turkey were just able to take full advantage of that.
Yeah, and we can see that from their numbers. Solkai, Soulless, I mean, honestly, every single one of them has been able to perform in this game. 16 eliminations with that chicken dinner. That is 26 extremely valuable points in our 4th game. And we're starting to see the teams that have a lot of experience over the years of participating in PUBG Mobile tournaments. These guys representing Turkey and Fireflux as an organization. When we talk about other teams such as Ukraine with Old Boy, with Havlik, every single one of them have played for so many teams, and they've been together for a long time. And that experience, I feel, DK, is being shown very in the best way possible here for these teams.
I mean, the comms are clear, right? Even just looking at the way that Turkey moved from that western side, utilizing the elevation coming off of Potato Hill, going down low. I mean, they just played the heck out of that zone, and things just look absolutely phenomenal for them. So I'm curious to see just how the teams that are not necessarily fully formed squads, how they're going to be able to compete against these formed teams. Representing the different countries.
And that's the thing, I think we can use the likes of even Egypt as an example. The team has been playing together since June. I've been speaking to some of the staff from the team that are here supporting them, and they've been telling me they've been practicing day in, day out, but I compare that practice to just the pure synergy and the experience that other rosters have. How does one kind of counter that, do you think, Neptura? What would players be able to do outside of just constantly practicing?
Yeah.
How do you make up for the experience?
make up for the experience by thinking outside the box.
Okay.
So if you know the teams and you've done your analysis and you've done your VOD review and all of that, you can figure out little things that they do. You learn the teams around you, how experienced they are, and kind of go, okay, well, they do this. They're super experienced when they play X, Y, Z. So what about we do ABC instead? And do that and try and surprise them, something like that. Try and think outside the box that they might not be expecting, and then go from there. And then that way you gain your own experience at the same time. So yeah, you really do have to try and figure out what they're not looking for.
Well, let's see if the likes of Egypt and all the other rosters who may not have the same level of experience as some of the other teams here have, but they still have an opportunity. We are just past, I want to say, the halfway point of the tournament at this point. But looking at the scoreboard for that last match, 26 points like we mentioned. Jordan, though, coming out with 13, very important. Myanmar, again, their consistency is ridiculous for Myanmar. These guys are absolutely on fire today. Top 4 in every single one of their games. They had a chicken dinner in game 1, and I want to see the impact of that when we're looking at the overall leaderboard. Turkey should be first, but I want to look at Myanmar's positioning there, DK.
But I mean, you mentioned Myanmar being 4th place right now, but we've also seen them, as you've mentioned, hold that for 4 games. Right, still holding a very steady flow, and consistency is really being key here for them. As you can see them securing that 8th position, right? 89 points on board. But of course, look at the eliminations there, right? Eliminations not as top heavy as we see with the 2 teams situated above. But if you look at the placement points, this is where that consistency pays off, right? Securing those points. So you're not necessarily superly aggressive, but you're able to navigate and find yourself into those late few stages. And I think that's what's kind of currently separating the leaderboard quite a bit, is the left from the right side of the page, right? Is left side really good with finding those placement points alongside eliminations. Right side, we want to see a little bit more of that, and also starting to trickle in.
Yeah, and I'm just looking at the stat. I want to say the 82 elims for Turkey, like, and with 10 games being done, you're talking about an average of what? Basically 8 kills or 8 eliminations rather per game. That is an insane statistic for a team to have consistently throughout the past 10 games that we've had so far. And I want to see if they're going to be able to do that, because their eliminations are basically more than double what they got placement point wise. And that's the thing that we kind of noticed in PMGC last year. It's
I was just about to say,
it's very elimination heavy. So is this going to be another situation where just eliminations are king?
It could be. It could be, because you are seeing time and time again, these teams are struggling to get placement. You see a lot of teams go out very early on, 4 or 5 eliminations, something like that. Some of them even as much as 7 eliminations. Yesterday, one of the teams did that, and they were like 14th and 7 eliminations. So it does seem to be playing out that way, whether that's the strategy these teams are going for or whether it's just how the cookie crumbles. It's one of those things I don't really know, but either way, it does seem to be doing well. I want a cookie now. Great. Where'd it go?
I will try to find that cookie before my casters try to steal it. Anyways, we are going to be jumping into game number 5 within a few short moments. So, of course, I started with DK last time, so I'm going to start with DK again. Predictions. Oh, I baited her so bad.
Dang it.
Give me a prediction for next game. You've been on point. You've been getting teams in the top 3. I'm not going to ask for who's going to win, but one of the teams that's going to end up in top 3 or top 5, DK.
Top 3 or top 5. Alright, so this is based on nothing other than just picking. So very, very well thought out approach coming into this. One team I'd like to see, Indonesia today.
And you know what? That has been a surprise, not seeing Indonesia perform as well as honestly I thought they would perform.
Yeah.
I'm surprised by Turkey's performance in the tournament. But Indonesia, what do you think is going wrong with them, DK?
I don't know. I mean, we did see a great start to the action, game 1, and then it's like, I don't know, they got lost or something.
Yeah.
Right?
They have to find themselves again.
Yeah, I don't know if it's the heat maybe, or I don't know what it could be, but
I don't know. It's pretty cool in the studio.
But you never know. Like, it could be.
I'm wearing a blazer just for that reason.
Yeah. Who knows? It could be so many different things. So I don't know. I just want to see them look to be as comfortable as they were looking in match number 1. I want to see that I want to see that same Indo team.
Okay. Right. What about you, Neptura? Who do you think? Give me a team for like top 3, top 5, and.
We're going into Miramar, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Yes.
No? Yes?
I think so.
Yes. It's game
Egypt.
number 5, so Miramar, yes.
Egypt.
Yeah, Egypt.
Yeah,
Okay.
They did well in Miramar last
Okay.
time. Bring it
So-
back.
I do want to see them bring it back.
Yeah.
Honestly, I do want to see, like, especially, I want to see the difference in their reaction after the chicken dinner in Game 6 yesterday and in Game 2 today. Like yesterday, even though they got the chicken dinner, you can still see.
Yeah.
But after they got it in today's games, they were
Yes.
smiling, they were interacting with the cameras.
They're
It's like,
feeling good.
yeah, they brought life back into the team.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to see that. For me personally, like, I think I'm going to agree with you. Like Indonesia needs to step up their game, especially with the last 2 games here, if they want to have a chance at getting to top 5 by the end of the tournament.
Yeah.
But you were talking about, you were referencing PMGC, the aggression-heavy performances, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
But one thing I want to remind you of is that everyone in the lobby has very similar elimination counts,
True.
right? So it's going to come down to placement.
Yeah.
Placement-heavy performances, not
No,
elimination.
no. I
Because they're
disagree.
already aggressive.
Give us more fights. I want more fights. I want more skirmishes. I want more action from the very first moment. So, without further ado, here we go. Miramar awaits, and our casters are ready. Kovo, Alex, take it away, boys.
We're taking it away, but you don't have to worry. We're not taking your cookie. That is absolute slander coming in from the side of our analyst desks. They're getting desperate, and we are getting interested for Miramar. I'm saying Miramar, Myanmar. That's what I'm expecting. All right,
Yeah,
they've
you've
been
been-
fragging today, and this is a map that you can frag on even more because
Yeah.
there's so much terrain to play with. Not as tactical as Erangel. A map that they could just roll away with it.
Yeah, you've been waiting for Miramar this entire day. I could tell.
been
You've
in my head.
You've been
What
waiting
can
for
I say?
Myanmar on Miramar, essentially.
Exactly.
To make that point. God, I feel like DK at this point. I feel like DK.
Yeah.
Anyways, they've been saying their predictions. I know we could not be any more right in general,
Yeah.
because we said Turkey and Ukraine are going to take the top 2 spots. But at least for this match, any specific predictions going into match number 5 for the first time as well today, Miramar.
I'm done with predictions, all right? This is not about us, this is about the players. And this is finally a plane that everybody can almost get to their loot spot with here. Even if you want to go to Los Leones, a car on that Picard Road might do the trick for you. But we have a few teams that we do need to see come back here. Brazil has had a very slow day. Brazil has fallen off. Another prediction we were right about, actually, interestingly enough. It's almost like we know what we're talking about.
Yeah, crazy,
And
right? I mean,
one prediction I was wrong about is Kyrgyzstan having a quiet day. Getting folded in that fight by Turkey cost them a ton of points in that last game. But overall, they've fallen away a bit from the top. Or maybe it's better to say the top's been running away with things. Crazy performances coming out. Turkey for the first time ever passing Ukraine here. Not something we would have expected when we looked at that scoreboard coming into the day.
yeah, definitely not something that we expected. Maybe we weren't expecting it as much. Maybe we just wanted it to be true. Because Kyrgyzstan yesterday in the chat has been phenomenal. At some point, literally, I think 1,000 Kyrgyzstan fans in the chat, I'm not over-exaggerating, spamming their flag and just being proud of the performance that these guys have put up. Unfortunately, today they haven't really been rewarded, but we have 2 more matches in which things could very heavily change. This is a massive circle. Almost no one currently inside the safe zone in Phase 1. It's going to be a long road for anyone making their way into it. Saudi Arabia on the northern side is one of the few lucky ones that might just adapt to this new phase that we've just witnessed. First potential frag, though, is coming in between Chile and Indonesia. And yeah, it looks like Simple is here to support his teammate. He's already in the compound. He's already being pushed. The lead, one of the biggest fraggers for that country, has already been taken now. This is a good jumping shot from Simple, but it's not enough to take down Randy on the other side.
Not enough, and he's got a name with his nade with his name on him. Jesus. Dodges away just in time, but now trying to help desperately. Trying to help his teammate. Has put himself in the next 4v1. A little bit too disjointed for Chile to start off the game here. And we'll see what happens with that. Nice little angle already collected for Indonesia. The desk was talking about them, hoping they would wake up, hoping they would come back into it. And they've gotten a really good opening here. The question is, how do they turn this into an aggressive push? Because they don't want to waste too much time here. They would love to take advantage of this massive circle they've been given. But so far, it's more just raiding around and hoping that Simple makes a mistake.
He's all on his lonesome here in this compound. Reinforcement have just now arrived. That doesn't make it any easier. Still man disadvantage with the 3 Indonesian players. Make that 4 any second now that you can see Excel in the distance is making his way towards it too. The good thing about this is they have the shotguns, but they have absolutely nothing in terms of medical equipment. A couple of bandages being traded back and forth. That's all they have and maybe all they need. We're going to have to see and find out in a couple of minutes at the very latest.
I hate this.
So we skip on back to Jordan, and that's another fight that we've seen plenty and plenty of times happening in phase 1. It's still the El Pozo contest. And yeah, you hate this because it could be avoided as well, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure about the hot drop, and I'm not sure about what Indonesia is doing with this. They had the 4v1, they took it, they won it. They had another 4v1 in their compound, but instead of taking it, they've given so much time for Chile to group back up and make this a 3 versus 4 in which they have now lost a member in. It's a disaster. When you look at the position they were given, the outcomes that they are now being presented with, they might just lose this still, but Indonesia clean it up in the end. Lost a member for it though, and have taken way more time than they maybe could have. We've seen the map before. That map was wide open for the taking. That chance is now gone. Bulgaria, on the other hand, making the push in the warehouse. The shotgun's not connecting at all. Ragnarok has to hit the reload, but he's still jumping down. Doesn't quite know where your position is. Comes around the corner. And it's good cleanup from him. Nice little double. 1-2, thank you. Bulgaria are looking very much like the short end of the stick right now.
Yeah. I think there was this one scenario where they did win the contest, but I think apart from that one round, I think it was the very first one initially. Or maybe, actually, never mind me, I think it was the second round yesterday. The second Miramar round yesterday. They won the hot drop. Apart from that, everything has been going the way of Jordan. And they still want to contest this time and time again. And in a best of 18 final, but every single placement matters, not only in terms of prize pool. I mean, the first one essentially takes $40,000 US. That means from the $130,000 US, the majority is still up for grabs, right? That's not to be underestimated how much money that is.
Yeah.
Especially if you calculate down to per person. So it's so much money still in line, and you kind of throwing away rounds essentially against someone that, let's be real, is more experienced than you in the very early stage, in phase 1, in exactly the same positions over and over again. That just, yeah, at some point doesn't really make sense anymore. But I respect that commitment. I respect their aggression. They just don't know. They don't want to turn this down, right? They're too committed at this point. And once again, I can also understand that and respect it at the same time.
Yeah, I respect the commitment, but we have to look back at the last game, for example, as well, or the game before this, where we saw the France hot drop in Severny. And yes, they win it, but they get 4 points out of that game because they have no chance of ever making it into the circle and playing the late game. So these hot drops, they're just not beneficial to either of the two teams. And that puts you in that really weird situation where you don't want to leave because you're just giving it up to the other team. But if you stay, you're both losing. And that's just the scenario playing out right now with the circle so far east. Tons of space for everyone to grab. But you're not even in that game. You're not even in that land grab because you are battling it out. Shotgun versus SMG. Very far away from the circle in the middle of El Pozo.
Myanmar. They have been way closer to the circle today than they have been yesterday. I feel like that's one of the big changes that they've made. They seem to play way more centralized PUBG Mobile than they have yesterday. And going into this day, we said that's exactly what they needed to fix. Apparently they have. Game number 1 especially, or game number 2 actually, never mind me. Excuses on Sanhok. But first game of Erangel, the first thing that we noticed was, wait, Myanmar is deep center. They have re-centered first 2 phases. That's something that we have not seen yesterday as much. And that definitely tells you that's something they wanted to focus on today, and it works out perfectly, right? Myanmar overtaking Brazil, who's got 2 chicken dinners, and had these in the very first 2 games as well. So yeah, they started off with massive amounts of confidence as well, and they're still being caught out by Myanmar. So definitely hasn't been on my cards either. Myanmar was not a team that I was going to watch in terms of the favorites.
Yeah, definitely not, but they have proven that they deserve our attention. And we went from that hot drop conversation into Myanmar, and I want to remind you that yesterday we've had Myanmar hot dropping in San Martin as well, right? And they have been winning those hot drops, but they have still decided it's not worth our time. We'd rather be in a good circle position. We'd rather be trying to have a chance of rotating early, of getting our spots, then fight for San Martin, which is a spot we don't really care that much about. So I love that, and I love that they, even from a winning hot drop, fall away and realize maybe we can actually do something here. Maybe we can get something absolutely big. You're looking at this as well, and you're looking at the PUBG Mobile nations that they are beating right now in their third place. They can be proud of themselves already with what they've achieved, but they can do even more here. They can do even bigger things. They are really just in reach of the championship.
Yeah, you've got Kyrgyzstan below you. Essentially, you've got a team like Saudi Arabia, a country like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia below. That's crazy to me as well. Both these teams do need to step it up just a tiny bit if they want to continue to have a chance. We're way past the half. Not way past, that's too much, but we're past the half-line mark now. And with just 6 more games tomorrow, the point in time has come now to make that change happen in playstyle, in points being gathered. They need a big round, 2 more chances, at least for today. Let's see if they make it work. Turkey, in the meanwhile, has found themselves a home, very close to the crater field. A pretty good position at that as well. They have also done absolutely nothing else than they have yesterday, to be honest. I was about to think, well, maybe they've played a little bit more centralized. We wanted to see that. No, they haven't. But we also said that that playstyle can be very rewarding. It's a high risk, it's a high reward playstyle, because if you start collecting points very early, then exactly the thing that we saw rings true. If you do win a round like this, you fight from start to finish and you win it, then you know, have a 25 30-point round just casually out there. And that's what we just saw. High risk, high reward. And Turkey has been rewarded in that very last game.
They have been. Morocco, France popping off in the kill feed. Both teams bleeding members there very, very quickly. I don't think they even are on the map stream. It looks looking like they're fighting in Azahar right now in the blue. As Myanmar, I think they have lost that member. Yeah, Saudi Arabia setting up in front of them. Taking shots from the mountaintop, cleaning up a member of the competition. They have now tried to make their way on through, and Turkey has said no. Just almost nails them out of the car. Tons of damage done to the vehicle and the player. And Turkey is trying to hold this down for now and not let anyone slip through the cracks.
No catch. Still crawling around close to the crater fields. Is finding himself the headshot on towards Goku. That's nasty. That's legitimately nasty. That's got to be one of the longest shots we've seen so far in the finals. Unfortunately, it won't get a flush on. Instead, who will get a flush is Tree. The player from Shockwave, back in France. A very long-standing roster in their respective region. One of the top 2 teams, and has been for the last couple of years. Shockwave and obviously Gamelog. The new lineup now is unfortunately fallen apart. It's been 3D Max for some time, but yeah, a very historically known roster in that region as well. Unfortunately, in this tournament so far internationally, they haven't really found the success they wanted, but that's also only due to the fact that Neptura just keeps on predicting her, right?
Exactly.
So they're not even at fault at this point.
No, not their fault at all. Circle does go south though, meaning that they will have an even longer travel coming out of the northern ridges here, trying to make their way into zone. Same is true for Bulgaria. First time breaking into this phase and instantly shifts away again. Few teams set up in the Impala area. They will have to fight their way on through when they come out of it. Not an easy one to leave when you're sharing it with so many teams. As we see Myanmar, not in a position of power, not in a position to be taking fight. Knocked, and that might be the go signal Overlader here. Ever come out. He's the anchor point for through in this stand.
It's a great city to of circles. They have it, but you most of the times kind of an advantage on everyone. That was such an important entry for so many teams. Depending on how many I think any more than that, and it might get.
Ukraine set up in Impala, they've got that. And that's really the most power. It's shaped here, it's very good position because of the high ground, but in Impala, it's pretty much just sitting it out.
Look at how much space Brazil has here. And that's right there. But yeah, look at how much space onto them, and they have no one in their backs. Out of that position, up. Circle shifts. They'll have a pretty straight high ground position towards the fast eastern. For Brazil, while I see we're on top of the hills, I think. I mean,
Change the fact that Brazil has this circle go. They've pulled it together at places. Now Pakistan find the opening. It's looking like they want to take the time from the other Jordan members. Clever to be, they're a little bit too far. Ragnarok on the map here is playing a haste at all. Neither is Lithe in the distance.
His magic has left. As that fight. Ukraine on the other side. Laid them massively on that rotation to sidelines. Like, do you really get? There's no one else for them. By 4 players essentially.
Big no. This is actually a lot of time committed for Ukraine. Yeah, Miramar. The res, and this costs them. This has to come through. So a bit of an opening, bit of an up. Shots from Arabu out the window. Finding their fight, they're not finding their. They're just getting peppered out of cars right now.
Sides. Rotate on through. Mongolia over-rotated down there were early. And thus they are once more. That might be. Also really depends on how Brazil is playing this at the moment. Fighting. We really want to set themselves up. They need to.
Late as possible. They'll try to situations we've seen them shine in as well. In the early game, and now good breach onto the soul. A single member, and from here it's not a massive. They are surviving for now. Scout this out. Circle's about to come in, and that car is might get a little bit hard.
Not losing it premature. You don't have a car, like, might as well. the corner meanwhile, but now next circle down. Alive as a 4-man on that basis. So few positions you can really fully wait for another shell to shift out. This is crazy, by the way, as well. How to loot, and he's still 25 HP, and then Sanhok is going to be caught on the other. Comes to as well, Christian. He goes down. Needed 3 players now.
Somebody dropped. Now he gets knocked in the process. Remain. They know this might be their chance to do. So far, a good stand by, but it's still a trick. Different angles. He can be peeking, waiting for a mistake. So is more than ready for it. Disengage. Maybe they want to reposition on this. For Ukraine, it's not clean though. With one less member to play with.
Has been caught on that rotation. Tulika gets a headshot from. So no chance to at this point. Unfortunate. Play a good nades though from Romania. Them Halfling strikes back though. Is having some kind of competition. Others arrive as well. You can see to deal with. No, it's 3 teams in total.
Is trying to stay clean. Getting knocks on both sides, but they don't want to. Like Egypt lurking on the sides of this. Want to get aggressive on the south. We don't want to wait. Knocks on this, and now they've breached on. Everyone is making big moves, taking a whole lot of hesitancy.
Indonesia now eliminated. Definitely a force to. It's usually on Miramar. It's being big. Part of that early. You might have had that weapon going into that. Saudi Arabia. They need a big round 2. We said it, King. Sports. But as I say that, Spark goes really well. I gotta. So far, I mean, it's going perfect. Position, and they're bullying them out too.
Been scary so far, but again, it's Turkey. And they were just a second ago. Looks of things. Brazil as well. Into the gas station. Making quick moves. And they're not giving this up. They're not giving up. This is a mega pull-up. This is a crazy position they would have wanted, Felix. A matter of time. steals it away, sends Brazil. But it doesn't pay out at all.
No, it as on the other side, he's only pushing you. Oh no, he gets traded from the staircase though. More than that, and he unfortunately can't. He is suddenly the last player left standing. But what more can he do? DBS in. He gets hit somehow. He's still standing. And a couple of moments longer. Kovo, they're scared.
He was low HP as well. They knew they had an right. He shows them instantly that he's ready. Off. Manages off. Gets his HP. And it will be a... So this fight needs to conclude. No. Attempt that at all. Scary, Felix.
It really is. And almost concluded. Down immensely. I'm not sure if it's the room and push. I haven't really seen Turkey actively. It's only down to the circle. Weird, but also kind.
You can't just play every game. You have to adapt to what. Switch up. Love to see the. And you can see they've been knocks here or there. Run around them. It's just a matter of time till that wants to keep. Have a bit more time. Shots coming out from Hub. But they clean this up. The old dog with the new placement points and
Turkey must know that they're here on where they are. This is the team. But they're not looking to with a big double to defend. They even touched the building. He had already cooked his. A perfect defense. They have left inside. A bit more space inside it, but Havlik. The very latest they should have. Soles suddenly engages in a fight.
They get in the one's doing the damage, so range that's from high ground as well. Not looking into this now, but he knows to catch. This is becoming a problem. Being reduced to just 2 players up. Oh, this boy, I'm gonna keep this, and I'm gonna keep this out. Starts making move on us. Aside, talked about them earlier.
They're looking amazing. They're looking. Had any problem side most of the time is the strongest one as well. Up on the very top of it. Has definitely taken impact, at least in terms of elimination. That's enough. Suddenly Turkey is pushed towards the strongest fragger so far for is it gonna be enough? Is it top 2 here, Kovo?
Absolutely. You can. And if you look, it's still going to be playing in this. They've got all